Okay, so we will now resume and continue. So the next one will be on the virtual networking and as well the security virtualization appliances. Okay, so this will be topic that we will cover. Okay, so basically when we talk about the virtual networking, so it means like we have the virtual switch, we have the virtual router. Okay, so all the VM, everything. Okay, you will be having the connectivity, okay, management managed from the GUI directly. Okay, so I will not go much on this explanation because these are a very detailed one. Okay, but then what I have just described earlier is basically we have like the virtual switch and the virtual router, so you can actually connect and segregate your VM accordingly. Okay, with these basic networking components. Okay, so we have like when we talk about the switch, it's a layer 2 switch, and then when we talk about the router, it's a layer 3 router, okay, where you can configure the net, the ACL, the PBR, okay, all those kind of items over there. So later you will have a look on that further. Okay, so for that virtual networking components, we have two. Okay, we have like the virtual switch and virtual router. So this kind of components, okay, it comes with also like the this distributed firewall or the micro segmentation capability. So that actually falls under this AirNet license. Okay, and if you need the extra components or the advanced components, for example, you need SSL VPN, okay, you need this load balancer, okay, you need the application firewall, like against the IPS, DDoS, okay, all those kind of these cyber attacks, okay, then you will have to get, okay, any of these appliances over here. So we have the circuit web gateway, we have the SSL VPN, we have the load balancer, and we have the next generation application firewall. So depends on your needs, okay, then you can subscribe to the license accordingly. Okay, so this is the overview of this network virtualization. So here you will see like we have what is this? This is actually the edge. So this edge is actually made to a physical interface which is responsible for the incoming and outgoing traffic. Okay, so this will make a physical interface, and there underneath you have this firewall. Okay, and then after that you can have the load balancer, and then the circuit web gateway, and then lastly the switch connected to multiple virtual machines. So meaning to say, for this virtual machine traffic, both the incoming and outgoing, okay, it will be filtered, okay, by all these respective appliances. So this is optional, so it depends. So if you think you do not need a circuit web gateway, you do not need a load balancer, you just need a firewall, then you will just have the firewall instead directly to the switch. Okay, or maybe you think like you do not need this firewall, you do not need the load balancer, you just need a circuit web gateway, then you will just have this circuit web gateway to the switch. Okay, so all these appliances, they are actually optional, depends on your requirement. Okay, so yeah, so like I mentioned over here, so you have this edge which is mapped to a physical interface responsible for the incoming and outgoing traffic. Then we have this virtual switch, the virtual router, okay, and then definitely this will be the virtual machines. No, it's not a virtual machine. It's actually this one. Okay, the only option is not a virtual machines, so it's like when you click on the setting, it will only like ask you to configure the VLAN on like the trunk or access, just like that. That's the option. It's not a virtual machines. Okay, but then if you talk about these security appliances, this is the yes, it's a virtual appliance. Okay, so there's an operating system inside. Okay, but then if you talk about this the switch, okay, you talk about this the edge, it's not a virtual machine. It's just like the network appliance. Okay, and then after that, yeah, on the virtual network security devices. So these are the optional, number 5 optional. So if you don't need any of this, then you can skip. But then if you wish to deploy any of it, maybe to meet some of your requirements, then definitely you can subscribe. Maybe you need firewall, you get a firewall. Okay, or maybe if you just need the SSL VPN, you will get the SSL VPN. So this is per appliance subscription. Okay, so that will be the thing. Okay, and then yeah, so on the edge, now we go further. Okay, so physical edge basically like earlier I mentioned multiple times. So it's responsible for the VM in and out traffic. Okay, so which is this one. Okay, this icon. Okay, so that's the thing.
MK, sorry, how many topology can we have in the one cluster? Only one?
What do you mean? This is based on how many physical interface you have. If you think like you have like 4 free interfaces and you want to have 4 separate edge, then you can go ahead. Like you can see the selection over here, like how many interface that you can select. So if you have 2 that is not in use, then you can have 2 edges. If you have 4, then you can have 4 edges. Okay, and then as I mentioned earlier, okay, so this edge is not the virtual machines, it's just a networking device. Okay, and the only option you will see on the device here when you click on the setting of console will be this item, like to create the VLAN. Okay, for example, if you are connected, whether it's the trunk or the access, okay, then you can define the VLAN accordingly over here to support the traffic. Okay, and then this is a virtual switch. Not really. It's you can. I'm not sure if you are referring to the open switch because it's not actually. You can say it's not the entire thing. How does? Okay, so like on Sager. Okay, so on Sager basically is like on what kind of SD-WAN this one will be actually like will be more on the developer side because I do not have the overview on the back end structures. Okay, only from the front UI. And then how does this edge basically the physical interface is the one that you're connecting, like for example like this interface, like you can connect, like maybe this interface is connected to your firewall DMZ. That's a physical interface it is referring to. So it is actually, it has nothing to do with the BGP or the static thing. Okay, so basically, the physical interface refers to, like, for example, ETH. Okay, let's say ETH 5 or 6. Okay, so let's say it's connected to your firewall. So let's say maybe your let's say you're using your firewall, and then the firewall interface 3. Okay, is connected to this HCI server. Let's say interface 5. Okay, so this is that kind of connectivity. It connect directly to the physical. Just like if you look into like the VMware, okay, for example, like on the VMware platform, definitely you will have like the virtual networking, okay, where you're going to forward all the virtual machine traffic, okay, to the particular interface. So it serves the same purpose in our case, which is the physical edge.
Okay, again, we can have only one edge, and it will combine all interfaces what we use for physical connection, or each different
point,
physical interface will be presented like different edge.
a very simple is one physical interface with one edge, just like that. If you have three free interfaces and you want to have three interfaces, yes, you can do. If you have 10 physical interfaces and you want to have 10 edges, you can do. Okay, but then if you have 10 physical interfaces, but then you want to have 20 edges, definitely you cannot do. Okay, because the formula is simple. One edge, one physical interface. So you will be like that. So if you have 10 physical interface, but then you want to have 20 edges, definitely it's not possible because the mapping is 1-to-1. So if you have 10 physical interfaces, maximum 10 edges. If you have 5 physical interfaces, maximum 5 edges, 1-to-1, the mapping. Okay, and then coming on the switch. Okay, so this will be the virtual switch. So apart from providing the VM communication over the layer 2, so it's also responsible, okay, to provide the ACL or the micro segmentation for the virtual machines. Okay, so I believe this we have explained earlier. Okay, so this is the switch. So it's a layer 2 switch. Not necessary because you can separate by VLAN. Okay, like the single edge, you can have like SS VLAN 10, SS VLAN 20, 30. So you no need to have multiple physical interfaces. Okay, in fact, like in my scenario, okay, most of the customer they only using one edge. Okay, and then they segregate the network with the multiple VLAN. Okay, because if you see that earlier, okay, because you see that the earlier here, you can create multiple VLAN. So over this type, if you click drop down, it will show you trunk and access. Okay, so if you have like 3 VLAN, then you can select access VLAN ID 10, and then the second one access VLAN ID 20, and then the third one access, then VLAN ID 30. So from one physical edge, okay, the edge, you can have multiple VLAN configured. So you no need to have multiple edges for that purpose. Okay, because like now the VLAN is the one of the common approach where you can have multiple network on the single physical interface. Okay, so the thing. Okay, and then this is the router. So the router provide all this functionality. Okay, except VPN. Okay, so if you are looking to build the VPN, the IP tag, okay, it's not provided on this virtual router. You have to do with our virtual firewall if you have the requirement on the VPN, or if you have your like your on-prem or your physical main firewall, okay, is providing that, then you manage the VPN from there. Okay, so on our virtual router, we do not cover the VPN. Okay, and this is how it looks like. So you can have all this TCP, DNS. Okay, so like a very basic router. Okay, and now, yeah, on our network security devices. Okay, so these are all to be purchased and licensed separately. So depends on the functionality. Okay, what kind of functionality that you need. Okay, then you can subscribe to the appliance. Okay, so these are optional. So let's say if you need the functions, okay, and it's not in your current network, then definitely you can consider deploying that. Okay, but then if let's say you say, okay, I have a main perimeter firewall. My perimeter firewall is already protecting the VM from like the LAN, DMZ, the server farm, all this. Then that's fine. You don't need the firewall. Okay, and then like you think, okay, circuit gateway is also not required because it just as the servers. Then you can skip. Okay, but then you think, okay, but then I need the load balancer, okay, for my application. Then you can deploy the load balancer appliance. Okay, and after that we also have the WAN optimizations. So if you have heard something about the Riverbed Radio Cloud, okay, so this appliance is actually serving for that purpose, providing the compression and the caching. Okay, and then we have the template over here, and then definitely before you can configure or deploy, you will require to have the license, okay, which is to be purchased separately. Okay, and then to deploy those virtual security appliances, it can be obtained from here. Okay, so you upload template, and then if you have the license activated, then you can select and deploy the appliance. Okay, so licensing. Okay, so once you have the required license, then you can activate the appliance and deploy it. Okay, and then you can further access to GUI after that. Okay, and then like I mentioned, these appliances, they're optional. Okay, so if required, okay, like you think like, okay, like you might not like maybe you are having in a practice like you need a perimeter and the core firewall, then definitely you can consider like this virtual appliance inside here, the firewall. This can act as a core firewall for the servers, okay, for the virtual machines inside the HCI. Okay, so you can put in the layer 2, I mean transparent or the bridge mode for that purpose. Okay, and then the traffic will be forwarded, pass through. Okay, and then at the same time it can be inspected, and yeah, that's the thing on that. Okay, so this is the thing. And moving on next will be like, okay, so the next thing will be like on VM migrations. Okay, so we have multiple migration method. Okay, so you can have a cold migration, you can have the uh, hot migration. Okay, you can have the agentless, you can have the agent based. Okay, so there are multiple migration methods, so depends on like which platform that you are coming from. Okay, and then also like to see like what's customer concerns. Okay, then you can use like any of these the two accordingly. Okay, so okay, so let's go further in. Okay, so yeah, I will skip the migration. Okay, so yeah, so virtual to virtual, cloud to our platform, physical to virtual. So all these the common, okay, aspects, okay, approach are covered. Okay, then we have the ISO, we have the converter. Okay, then we have the VM migration method. Okay, connect the vCenter to our HCI and migrate from there over the API. Okay, and then this is our tool, our recent tool, where it can actually provide a better migration approach, especially for those customer who wanted the hot migration. Okay, with the minimum downtime. Okay, yeah, so this will be like the port. So some of the port definitely you first have to open and enable the port. Okay, so this will be like the system. Okay, so this is actually like on the HCI side, definitely if you have installed the HCI and it's all good and so on, definitely this thing is not really critical. Okay, and then this is on the Linux. So to make sure these are the actually referring to the source system. Okay, And then yeah, so the time taken, it depends on the speed. Okay, so there are multiple factors, okay, that you will like to determine the speed of the migration. Okay, so the first is like the source machine, okay, your read speed. Okay, and then to the destination HCI, the HCI write speed. Okay, and also the bandwidth between both sides. Okay, from the source to the HCI. So these are the few factors that will decide like how long it takes for the migration. Okay, and then after that, like you can use like some the migration, like some network to calculate like how much time it's going to take. Okay, based on the data size, things like that. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so there are multiple migration options. So we will go through one by one. Okay, so if
Okay,
you look up,
sorry, but the slides what you show now is not relevant to what you told about. It's look like the slides is stopped on the
which one?
NFV configuration.
NFV. Okay, so I think you have not seen the new slide. Let me reshare.
No, it's okay. Maybe you stopped your own slides. There is a button, return to a speaker or something like that.
Ivan, you mean from your side is fine.
Now I see virtual router slide, number 16.
I see slide number 2.
Yeah, so I think maybe Constantine, I think maybe from your end, maybe some issue.
You can switch slides by your own, and you can return to speaker's view.
So how is it, Constantine? Still the same?
Yes.
Maybe you can try reconnect or something. That will be easier. Or like I think earlier Ivan mentioned, like you can like try to navigate the slide from your side. Check if that works for you. Otherwise, I think reconnect might be a bet a better option.
I guess someone take control and start to clicking on the slide.
Fine. So let's come to the point where we actually stop. Okay. So yeah. So there are actually multiple. Yes, Constantine, is it you can see my slide now or still the same?
Yes,
Now
yes. Now it's okay.
Okay, so we will go through like we have multiple migration method. So we will go through one by one. So I will say like this is the first converter tool that we have in the early stage. So this is for Windows. Okay, so this is for the Windows approach. So you're going to install, okay, the converter or the installer on the original source machine. Okay, so it looks something like this. So you're going to install on the source machine. Okay, and then you will select the option that you wish to have. Okay, like the core or the live migration. Okay, so it's only for Windows. Okay, and then this is what it means between the core and the live migration. So when we talk about the live migration, normally you will use like on the system where there is not much changes on the data. Okay, so let's say like for example, if you have the AD server, definitely maybe your AD server the only changes maybe the new domain user or something like that. So definitely even if you were to migrate, okay, you may not have any much difference. But then if you're referring to like the database VM or the web server VM where you continuously have new data coming all the time, then this migration method, okay, will not be applicable for that scenario. Because the moment you perform the light migration, let's say you are starting the migration at 12 p.m. So any data after 12 p.m. it will not be migrated. Okay, so that is the thing. under this Windows Converter migration approach. Okay, so later on, there's a like the latest recent tool that we have released last year actually have covered all these gaps. Okay, so like you can even do the line migration, okay, without any data difference. So for example, even you started the migration at 12 p.m. and later on maybe it takes some time, maybe at 2 p.m. there's still some new data coming in. It can still, okay, migrate the 2 p.m. data as well. Okay, so these are actually like the older migration the tool. So maybe I will not focus much on this. Later on we can just jump directly to the recent latest migration software, the migration tool. Okay, so it's just a connectivity. So maybe like for non-critical VM, you can still use this method. Okay, so you ask from the source, you're going to set up all these kind of parameters, and then once done, okay, you install the necessary tool, and then after that, okay, from the HCI, then you're going to initiate the task. Okay, then the second one will be the ISO migration. So this will be offline migration only. Okay, so this ISO is like you're going to boot the VM that you wish, I mean the original or the soft VM that you wish to migrate. You're going to boot on the ISO. Okay, so the same ISO they use to install our HCI. Okay, there's a two-in-one. So you can install the HCI and also migrate the VM. So there are two options over there. Okay, so you can see over here. Okay, so the same installer. So earlier in the beginning, we are actually using this one. So on the same ISO, you just navigate to this one, migrate these machines. Okay, and then it will ask you to temporarily configure the IP, okay, which allows you to communicate, okay, between the source, okay, and the destination VM. Okay, so the destination will be the HCI, right? So you configure the IP. So this will be on the source machine, the original machine. Okay, so yeah, okay, so this will be the thing here. And then yeah, after the servers be migrated, so you can see these are the option. Okay, you can initiate the task. Okay, and then the third one, so let's say if you have VMware setup, then you can integrate the vCenter into our HCI.